All right, good morning. And again, welcome to the Associated Guests. I'm your host, Alfie Animus, here on the Bear in Mind channel. Today, we're going to get into the story we missed yesterday. Whatever the MoistCritical situation is, I don't know what's going on with old Charlie, but we'll see what old Rev has to say. It keeps popping up on my timeline. Naturally, I'm supposed to watch this and see what's going on. Then we'll get into some of the Greta news if we have time. Sorry, I'm running a little bit behind today. I have some connectivity issues, but it's not a big deal. And then we'll just get into some Twitter trash. I'm seeing, looks like Greg Abbott and Gavin Newsom are going back and forth on X. Abbott's posting this. Newsom's posting that. And they're pretty much arguing past each other. One of them's arguing a certain point, and the other one's arguing a very close but separate point. So since they're not even having the same argument with each other, they're kind of just yelling past each other, which is, let's be honest, what most politicians do these days. They don't, and this is how you know it's all a show. They're not here to change anyone's minds. They're not here, and this goes for both sides, I don't care. They're not here to change anyone's minds. They're not here to change hearts. They are literally here to preach to their own people. That's it. It's like watching The Rock versus Hulk Hogan or John Cena or whoever the hell else The Rock would go up against over the years. He'd been wrestling for a long time, but that's all it is. Do you smell what Newsom's cooking? His breasts are empty. Anyway, okay, I'm done. Moving on, we'll jump into the MoistCritical situation. I'm very curious.
Here. So today we're going to be talking about the crazy MoistCritical situation. I'm sure pretty much everybody watching this video has come across MoistCritical at one point or another in your journey on YouTube. But one thing that is very rare.
A few times, I'm not going to lie, I mostly get them confused with Asmongold a lot. They're both kind of unwashed, messianic, like Jesus-looking types on X and on YouTube, so on and so forth. But what I've seen MoistCritical a lot over the years, but the biggest thing that pops out most recently was the whole issue with him and Sneeko, because Sneeko didn't know the difference between clips and mags, and Charlie told him. Is his name Charlie? I'm pretty sure it's Charlie.
Despite the countless topics he's talked about, is situations where people are trying to cancel him. On my own channel, I think there's been maybe one situation where people were trying to do that, and it was like by proxy in a situation he really wasn't involved in. But anyways, today there is a very recent push to cancel MoistCritical, and it comes from a video he made about 3 weeks ago that personally flew under my radar. I didn't even know he made the video on the subject.
Yeah, neither did
and I
I
saw this post yesterday from Kazahana pointing out that people on TikTok were trying to cancel MoistCritical for his comments about Charlie Kirk. Now, this is the video in particular. As you can see, he released the video about 3 weeks ago, shortly after the assassination of Charlie Kirk that was fueled by...
Okay. This is why you should always research, and I am trying to do better about it. But like I said, this keeps popping up on my timeline. I know I said I wasn't going to talk anymore about the Charlie Kirk situation, but it keeps popping back up. But we're going to continue with this just because I said I was, and I like to keep to my word. But we'll see why people are going after Charlie, because he was, even though he's not MAGA and he doesn't agree with most of the things that MAGA talk about, he was still upset by the fact that the Charlie Kirk situation happened, which is an understandable viewpoint. She was the same way. She's a Bernie Sanders bro with titties, but she was still really shaken by it. So let's see what happened here.
Political violence, and he made a very bold statement in the video that political violence is always wrong. Despite even differences you have with their opinions, that does not justify it.
Yeah.
Now, if you've been watching MoistCritical, I'm sure you probably weren't too surprised by that, but there was a noticeable portion of his audience that was very angry about this. you can see the like to dislike ratio. And this is not some iDubbbz video where he's, tanking a 50-50 ratio. But most of Moist Critical's videos have like a 99% like to dislike ratio. So having this sort of a proportion, about a 10% dislike ratio, that's pretty significant. And I say this not in a mocking fashion, but his audience is kind of known for being normies. And you see this reaction from a notable portion of his audience who are very upset about his message. And that I think is pretty alarming. So let's listen to what he said in this video
and that is
what will
true.
be shown in the...
Yeah, no, and one thing, anyone who knows anything about Moist Critical, that is true. He doesn't get political. The whole thing with him and Sneeko was kind of a fluke too. He doesn't really. He is who he is, but he doesn't really get too politically charged, as far as I've ever seen or heard. Yeah. So the fact that as much of his audience, it's got to be. I don't know. I think Rev might be speculating a bit, because you know that anytime anyone goes viral for anything that they do, there tends to be a dog pile. It's not necessarily representative of his regular viewing audience. I see the angle you're coming from on that. I really think it's just a lot of assholes from X and TikTok and all that getting on their YouTube accounts and dogpiling on the dislike button. But we'll see what he has to say.
TikTok where we see the most unhinged reactions.
But this definitely does seem to be a politically motivated assassination, which, if you ask me, is a horrible thing. And my heart breaks for the family that is now without a father. I think it is bad. I know. Classic Charles with a grass is green take. So let me be crystal clear here. I think the assassination of Charlie Kirk, everything that happened here is horrible. I think it is horrific. Yeah. Awful. I think it is terrible. And I'm aware that some people have been celebrating this. I find that to be disgusting. Of course, after all this happened, I did see a bunch of the clips that people were tossing around from like his talks or from debates, and it's things I don't agree with for sure. But even still, what happened here is bad. Even though I didn't agree with him from all of the things I've seen, it still doesn't change the way I feel about this being a horrifying, terrible thing that happened to him. Political violence or violence of any kind like this, I think, is just unacceptable, and it's extremely scary.
So yeah, pretty simple stuff. He said, despite even not agreeing with things that Charlie Kirk has said, I condemn political violence. It's horrible, and if you disagree with that point, you are simply wrong.
Which is an understandable take. Look, you don't have to like the left or the right's views, but you do have to. We have a civil contract, more or less. We don't get to kill each other because we disagree, and that's one of the reasons I think that some would say both sides, but we have to be honest that this kind of talk, it really only comes from the left, calling the right Nazis, and I did a lot of that when I was young too. With like a lot of my friends were wearing the stupid ass Che Guevara shirts, and me and a couple of my friends were anarchists, but like people would wear those shirts and not even know who he was really or anything that he did in the name of whatever he was doing in the name of. They literally had no idea at all. They didn't know that he was, massacring people left and right, or anything like that. It's really funny how people will stand behind things just because it's a symbol or because so and so did it, whether it be someone in their real life or some famous person or anything. A lot of people are just sheep, and I catch myself doing it from time to time, but for the most part, I try to at least get as much information as I can from as many sources as I can and come up with my own fucking thoughts on the matter. And I don't expect people to do as much research as I do, and I really don't do that much. Some of you can tell, but I do more than the average person. Because the average person at most sees a picture, reads a headline, watches the 10-second out of context clips of whatever side they're going against. And this is the left and the right when I'm saying this. But regardless, I wouldn't want anyone to kill Gavin Newsom. I wouldn't want anyone to kill Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, Hassan, Diddy Bin Laden Piker, any of them, for their opinions. Now, if they start doing anything crazy, like say, and I don't, even at that point, because very clearly from what we're seeing right now, everyone's threshold is clearly different. These days, people being just normie liberals or normie Republicans, mostly normie Republicans, is enough to call them a fascist. And people will be like, but they call people on the left communist and socialist all the time. Normally just the ones that call themselves that. You got to be honest on this kind of thing. As someone who's also more or less on the left, always have been, always will be, I'll never consider myself on the right. But even, and people always ask why I'm always so hard on the left. Because I expect more from you. Because we've seen well, at least people my age have seen what it's like when the right's in too much control. And would it have been worse if Twitter existed 20, 25 years ago? Probably. Because back then they got a lot done with just angry letters to networks and school districts and all these other things. Imagine if Twitter existed. Imagine if Facebook, YouTube, imagine if all that existed 20, 25 years ago. How out of control it would have been. Or maybe it would have just fast-tracked us into where we are now. It's hard to say. But can you imagine how annoying the right would have been in that time frame? I can, because I've grew up in the Bible Belt. Glory. Sorry, tangent over. Let's continue.
And that made people very angry. Now, most of the top comments are positive on YouTube, but if you refresh by new, it's very unhinged. Okay, people are still seething about it every couple of minutes on this video, despite the fact it's been out for weeks.
These people
but this is the TikTok that was mentioned
poisoning.
earlier in the video, and this is someone who shared that message 3 weeks ago, and the comments on this are insane. And it's
This one irritates me the most. Look, and yes, there are, because there's always someone who believes certain thing when anything happens. But for the most part, even the politicians, look, just because you don't like, I hate that y'all make me defend these people. Just because you don't like thoughts and prayers, which I understand people who post that are mostly doing it for clout. Most. If you know that person and you put it on there, maybe not clout. Like if you're a loose affiliation with someone, maybe someone who doesn't have this person's phone number, but you have them on Facebook, 100%. Thoughts and prayers, post it, whatever. But if you know this person close enough, call them, shoot them a text, stop by. If you're cousins, any kind of relative, close friends, hang out more than once a month, check on them. Okay? You're not that busy. Don't post thoughts and prayers online for that. There's levels to this shit. But let's be honest, if it's a national tragedy, you can't post thoughts and prayers for it and then at the same time get on people for putting in their profile picture BLM or the Blackout Square or I Stand with Paris or any of the other shit. Okay? Because it's the same thing. It's the same concept. Those are clearly clout chasing. So sometimes, yes, thoughts and prayers are clout chasing. But when it comes to stuff like this, Charlie Kirk very clearly meant a lot to a lot of people. Not so much to me. I respected what the man did. And as far as conservatives go, look, people call your Ben Shapiros and your Charlie Kirks Nazis, fascist, all these things, Hitlerian, calling a little little yarmulke yielding Jew boy, uh, a Hitlerian figure, is laughable. These people are practically liberals compared to the conservatives of 15, 20 years ago, let alone from the 90s. We all know people like, not Heaven's Gate, Westboro Baptist Church. We've all known people like the teacher from Donnie Darko with the stupid ass cards. Fear and love are the strongest of all emotions. We've all met people like these. We've all met people like the lady from, The Mist, the crazed heretics, the ones that are one step away. We've all met the former drug addicts, people who traded their drugs for Jesus. We all know that they're one of the more annoying versions of Christians. But for the fact that people are still posting stuff like this, kids being killed, sleepy eyes, Squidward, Charlie Kirk being killed, wide open, angry eyes, Squidward. Just because you don't like people's solution for your problems, for the problems of the country, doesn't mean they don't have solutions. They don't just offer thoughts and prayers. They've offered on-site security, metal detectors in school, which aren't bad solutions. It works in some of the inner cities. It works in some of the big cities. It works for TSA. I understand that you don't want your kids to go to school in a situation that makes it feel like prison. But let's face it, most kids already think that school is a fucking prison. Calm your tits. You're projecting. Just calm down. It'll be okay. Do you want your kids safe? Then be open to all possibilities, not just gun make thing bad. These are coming from the same people who live in blue cities or blue states who say that all the guns in their cities come from red states. And I hate to quote conservatives, but I'm going to do it anyway because it pisses most of you off and it's fun for me. If all the guns from blue city crime all those guns come from red states and cities, then why is the crime not so high in those red cities or red states? Might be a mentality issue. Or maybe you suck at your job and you're looking for any other person to blame. But the fact that people keep posting shit like this, even now, like some of these, okay, that's not very recent, but some of them, I've seen them myself on X, even they'll still pop up. What the hell are you even talking about? Okay, soapbox, stepping down. Hi, Rev.
It shows you the kind of radicalization going on places like TikTok. So one of the top comments right here begins by saying, conservatives, kids being killed today with no regard.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk being killed today. And all of a sudden now they've awakened. And of course, you can see someone saying, not a conservative, but do you spend every waking minute feeling sorry for all the kids who you don't know who have passed away? And the person who made the original post said, yes. So this person is trying to convince you that you are bad if you don't spend every waking minute of your existence mourning over the
And on this, both these people are wrong. Not a conservative, but do you spend every waking minute feeling sorry? That's not what this original post was saying, first of all. So posting that was kind of silly, but then when they come back with the yes, I do spend every waking minute thinking about kids that I don't know being dead, you could tell that either something horrible's happened to this person, or the more likely than not version, this person has never known any kind of strife or struggle. Let's be honest. When I think about the people who I know in my own personal life, it's the very definition of first world problems. Oh, mommy and daddy are divorced, and here I am, over 18, and I only got clothes for Christmas or something. Like it's little bitty problems. Like this is things that I've seen people crying over, like crying over. It's ridiculous. And don't even get me started on the tattoos in the workplace debates of, like, I think it was 15 years ago. Like, I've said a lot of fucked up shit in my life, but the fact that I lost half my friends because I didn't think that someone should get a job at a daycare if they have a spider tattooed to their neck and face. It just goes to show you that some people will do anything to chase clout and to find a way for themselves to be a victim. Let's face it. Mostly overprivileged upper to upper middle class white people. Usually their parents are divorced. They don't see dad enough. Dad might be a douchebag. Usually is. But that's most of the people in my own personal life who are like this.
Deaths of others. Like, this is the kind of Stretch Armstrong level reach that they're trying to make. They're basically saying you're not allowed to mourn an individual's death if you're not mourning other people's deaths every waking minute of your life. And that's not an exaggeration. They said every waking minute of your life. Yeah. That's the kind of people we're dealing with here. Here's one with a lot of support saying, explaining to people that murder is wrong in the Big 25. We are doomed as a society. Now, I noticed that this one, for example, has 8,000 likes. I saw this TikTok yesterday, and I think the new traffic on it has boosted a lot of the positive comments, because a lot of these had a fraction of the likes that they do now. But we have another one saying MoistCritical greater than vanilla. I think that was another content creator who had a different take on the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Never heard
this
vanilla.
Person saying killing someone for a different opinion is peak fascism. 100% right. Do you understand how many people have called me and others who have condemned political violence over the past couple of weeks fascists for doing so? Ending someone because they have a different political opinion than you is the literal definition of fascism. That is a core component. So the fact that people condemning it are being given this label shows we're living in an upside down society right now where these people are just so far gone.
Just real quick tangent, I won't go off on another thing. Just the other day, and I tried to find it before this, I got called was it eugenics? Because I called someone a retard on X. And then I think it was, no, they put, if you don't like being called a fascist, stop being a fascist. And I said, well, and I called them a retard, and then they said this, such, and then I said, well, if you don't like being called a retard, stop being a retard on X. And then they said something that basically came around to me supporting eugenics. And I was like, I mean, Sydney Sweeney's hot, but she's not really my style. And it kind of devolved from there, and then some other people jumped in. It's fun. I'm not going to lie. I've become obsessed with X, but we'll just continue. Because I could go off forever on that.
But of course, this one says also, I know his fans are so mad he's showing compassion. As we pointed out, there was a significant amount that were mad. But down here we have a great dichotomy. This person says, W take from the legend. The next comment says, oh wow, L take from Charlie. Yeah, Charlie with the crazy takes. When I say Charlie, let's not get confused. Charlie as in MoistCritical, not, separate that from Charlie Kirk. We're just going to refer to Charlie from YouTube as MoistCritical for the rest of this video. Let's try to keep it from getting confusing.
Not me. I'll continue to call him
But here's
Charlie,
another one saying, I'm not celebrating, but I'm definitely not mourning, with 13,000 likes. And this is such a weird take that I keep seeing.
Oh, wow,
Nobody is asking you to mourn his passing, his murder. Nobody's asking you to mourn it. You don't have to feel bad or anything like that. You feel completely indifferent.
Ooh.
But people are saying don't celebrate. And more importantly, don't glorify acts of political violence, and don't ask for more. As we've seen, you can check out any video pretty much from the last 3 weeks or so on my channel. There are infinite people, whether it's politicians, people in trusted positions of society like doctors and teachers, and also content creators and just regular social media users who are not just celebrating, they're encouraging more political violence. The fact that people are not understanding what the real concern here is, well, concerning. But let's read this next one. Oh, it's a doozy. As a white man, you have zero opinion or stance on this. It's okay to mourn him, but telling people of color, LGBTQ/women, that their actions are disgusting and wrong when it's their oppressor, not yours, is extremely weird. I'll let you see here, that has 6,300 likes. So this guy's saying if you're a white man, you cannot talk about or criticize people celebrating the murder of another white man. So what can you even talk about these days? It's very strange. And are you going to also say, they say women, can Erica Kirk, his now widow, can she have an opinion on this? Or is that just, you know, an exception that you'll rule out? These people are insane. They live among you. Many of them can actually
according
vote.
to a lot of people.
That's terrifying.
I don't know, and I've been trying to avoid Candace Owens' take on this, even though I know I'm doing a kind of loose deep dive on Candace Owens and her bullshit. She's just been unhinged lately. Like I think I've played the thing where she's just kind of going into the radio or into the microphone. She's terrifying. I'm sorry. That woman. Like, I used to think that she was just a shill, or she's literally just backing whatever horse she thinks will make her the most money. Which, you know, I can sort of respect that in concept, but the way that she does it and she just radicalizes people and just mostly dunks on Jews all the time. It's a lot, and now she's just going completely unhinged. Like when she started talking to Kanye, and when she's started defending the Tate brothers, and when she, oh my God, the biggest one that she did. And sorry, I'll get back to the video after this, I promise. So there was an assault allegation on a minor from an adult male. She said the victim's name, but she wouldn't say the perpetrator's name because it's someone she knew. And the reason she gave was to protect the victim. I'm like, the mental gymnastics of some of these people. They're on the left and the right. Again, mostly on the left of late, but the right ones are out there and they're waiting. And I keep telling my friends who are on the left, who still talk to me, we've got to tone this shit down. If not, the more we pull back the pendulum, if you lose your grip on it, it's going to go back in the other direction, and it's going to be way worse than anything we've ever thought we've experienced before. It just is. When you have control, you're supposed to make a few small wins, gay marriage, this and that, and a few things that they had 10, 12 years ago, but then they went full South Park when they were playing roulette, and they won. Yay, it happened. And they said, oh man, if we do it again, not even betting on red or black, but betting on a particular number, then we could pay everything back and be super rich. Oh, let it ride. And then it's become what it's become in the last 10 years of the Trumpian era. The lunatics. It's going to swing back. And it's going to be everything anyone's ever feared, especially me. I don't want it to be anything I've ever feared, because that's going to suck for everyone.
Here's the next one saying,
everyone.
I will never have sympathy nor empathy for a fascist.
Jesus.
See, and this is the problem right here. They call everyone who disagrees with them a fascist, and it is a dog whistle. And I know that term has been used very flippantly over the years, but this is a very coded thing where they're trying to...
And it's not coded. It's not coded. Charlie Kirk was one of the most milquetoast conservatives ever, like I was saying earlier before I went off on a tangent. Very milquetoast. Calling him a fascist or Hitlerian or anything like that, identitarian, is lunacy. You don't know what these words mean. If he's that, then what's everyone to the right of him? What's, hell, even Crowder, Fuentes, fucking Candace Owens? What are all these people? Alex Jones, that loser at the Blaze, Glenn Beck. What are all these people?
Say
you
two
killed the
crazies
nice one
out there This guy is a fascist. He is an existential threat to you. Do something about it. And they hope someone out there crazy enough will do something about that. That's why they label people they don't like as fascists. And I want to show you how crazy this sort of rhetoric gets. Just today, there's a big scandal going on in the Virginia Attorney General election, which is a very important position for that state.
I saw this.
Where the Democrat candidate Jay Jones has been busted with personal messages where he was fantasizing about the Republican House Speaker, Todd Gilbert, his political opponent, where he fantasized about him being shot and that he would piss on the graves of Republicans, and even fantasized about the offing of him and his wife's children.
Now, mind you, this is bad. Horrible, even. This would be bad enough if it was sent between two Democrats or two Republicans or two people of the same side. This is a Democrat sending it to a Republican. He's running for office currently. And he said in these messages that, and we've all played this game. So you've got Goebbels, Hitler, Gilbert, Hitler. Gilbert's the guy he's running against. Hitler and Pol Pot in a room. You've got two bullets. Who gets them? And you say two people and the person you know personally. And it's a really old joke. It's, given the current climate, not particularly funny, I guess. But it's something you hear all the time. It's not that far off from Murder, Death, Kill. Marry. Fuck, Marry, Kill. That's what it is. And all these things. All these little morbid things that we just kind of do in conversation. We all have met one person who throw these out there. Or like, would you rather do this or do that? But this person sent this. He's having this conversation with a conservative, someone on the other side of the aisle. And the guy's saying, please stop. Hey, man, why you know? And then he says that not only does he want the person to die, he wants his wife and kids to die too. Because I mean, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes. And he's completely serious because they're put in context later. But
if these guys die before me, I will go to their funerals and piss on their graves, send them out awash in something. And then they say Jay Jones, referring to this person who's running for the position. 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both every single time. And the person receiving this says, Jay, please stop. Showing that they're very uncomfortable by this conversation. And he says, LOL, okay, but he can't help himself. And the other person says, it really bothers me when you talk about hurting people or wishing death upon them. And then he continues on saying, I genuinely was. I wasn't attacking you. I was trying to understand your logic. And then the person says, you were talking about and hoping that Jennifer Gilbert's children would be ended. And then he says, yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. So this person believes that his political opponent's children should be offed, because then they might change their mind on probably some stupid policy that's not even that important.
Yeah, and that's really the... Oh, hey guys, thanks for the engagement. And that's really the thing. While, yes, it's true to an extent that people, only when people feel pain do they move on policy, that's not why you want people to move on policy. Look, as much of a cynic as I try to be, you have to, when it comes to people who are in public office, they have to believe that they can change people, change hearts, change minds, do whatever they can. Why are y'all doing this to me? I've been a staunch... I've been a cynic most of my life. And I don't know what it is. Ever since ever since I saw the video, I don't know, something changed inside me. It's like I feel like the Grinch. I feel like the Grinch. Toward the end of it, my heart's grown 3 sizes in such a short amount of time. Which is why I'm doing, like, I started doing the channel before Charlie passed. And like I said, I didn't care for some of his opinions. I disagree with him on this and that, or even just the execution of some of them. I know execution's a horrible word to say in this situation, but in the way that people do things, I don't know. I miss when people could joke, even like this. I hate that some people have been raised to think that conversations like this in a serious context are okay, especially people who would one day run for office. And people say cringy things like, this isn't who we are. I say them jokingly on my gaming streams all the time. But it's not. This shouldn't be who we are. Thoughts and actions like we've seen in the last, and they've just increased. But let's be honest. Since the left turned on Trump, because Trump is of the left, he's not really a Republican, and everyone knows this. The left and the right knows this. Ever since then, it seems like it's been full force on him or with him. And people have been doing crazy shit. Yes, on both sides, but more on one side than the other. And it shouldn't be this way. And I know that it's always kind of been like this. People were calling, oh, what's that pussy that ran against Obama, his second term? I can't think of his name, but the guy that ran against Obama in 2012. He was probably the wimpiest, most milquetoast conservative that I've ever seen. The fact that they let him run, you know, I'm going to Google it. You know what? I'm going to do it on my phone because it'll be faster. Who ran against Obama in 2012? Mitt Romney. Yeah, that guy. That guy is a giant freaking wuss. They still found a way to call him Hitler. Biden said that Mitt Romney wanted to put, he said this to black people, he said he wants to put y'all back in chains. Exact words, not out of context. He said this before, I think it was the Black Caucus or some black political group. He said Mitt Romney wanted to put black people back in chains. Let's be honest, and it's probably gone beyond that in the past, but I only really noticed when conservatives did it before this. But that was that, and the fact that they put John Kerry, a dipshit, up against George Bush when they wanted Bush out of office, and they put John Kerry, a man who he said that about Biden. Never mind. But nobody has anything good to say about John Kerry. Nobody. And he keeps getting work. He keeps failing up. John Kerry is the definition of a libtard. And I don't like using that word, but it fits. The guy is bad at everything. Isn't it though? What, that I won't stop talking? Yeah. And that was the first thing where I was like, okay. Of course, it might have had something to do with the fact that I was the only one of my friends who wasn't smoking weed at the time. And everyone was like, yeah, get him, John. And I was like, this guy's making Bush look smart. What are you guys talking about? Yeah. Mitt Romney barely even wanted to be there. I don't know what he was doing. He was a giant pansy. And like I said, they said that about him. So naturally, someone as chaotic and outlandish as Trump has been is going to get a lot more. If they said that Romney, of all people, wanted to put black people back in chains, when nothing the man ever did And I researched it because I was in Afghanistan. What do you want? But and I've noticed, and Biden, the most corrupt politician of all time, he makes the Clintons look, I don't know, look nice. Look like, for those Power Ranger fans out there, once they blew up Zordon and made all the good guys, the bad guys into good guys, they look like that. Just a couple of people. Like, oh yeah, we're just regular innocent people. Horrible reference, I know, but it's funny for me. Shut up. Going back.
Insane. And then they continue on saying, I mean, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes. That is what's going on in the state of Virginia in a very important election for what they the concerns and the interests of their citizens over there. So when you're constantly labeling people as these things,
and the fact that this guy, this Jay Jones, hasn't lost a single donor, hasn't lost any sponsorships since this came out. And these are recent texts. This isn't like, hey, college buddies. Like, this has been since Charlie Kirk. I'm pretty sure. Like, 90% sure. Yeah, I know. My references are... But it fits. You know, like the most pure-hearted person. The Bidens are horribly corrupt. But let's continue with this because
these are the type
I'm
of
running out of time and
fantasies
I've still
from
got quite a
unhinged
bit of
people
video
that
left.
are connected. And we live in a time where that's accepted. Like, normally what we just saw is a career ender. You never recover from that.
And if it was a conservative saying anything to that liking about anyone on the left, over. They would call for his resignation. They would call for him to be jailed. If this was even a year ago, it's stunning.
But right now,
and like I said, anyone who knows me knows I have no great love for conservatives. I never will. I will never consider myself one of you. This is fucked up.
Now with this climate, it's like, I don't know. Will something actually happen? Will he be knocked out of the race? Will his people alongside him say, hey, you need to step down? I don't have any confidence in that whatsoever. But anyways, let's continue on. This person says, I don't give a F what Moist Critical has to say for real.
Then why are you watching his
taking
shit?
the time to leave a comment about it.
Yeah.
This person said, but not a word of sympathy for the thousands of people who died from gun violence this year alone.
Because there's not video of it. It wasn't going everywhere, and it was horrific. But let's continue.
Yeah, this is one of those things, again, where they say if you don't openly mourn every single death that's ever happened everywhere going on in the world.
And I just want to point out that, have you noticed that people on the left only care about murdered kids when it's a bunch of white kids in prestigious schools in the suburbs? But they don't say anything about when black kids die. Doesn't matter who killed them. Left, right, white, black. They don't say a word. It's always the case. They don't care unless they're killed in the street by a white dude. They don't care if they're killed in their own schools, if it's a mostly black school. You never hear about it. You used to. Does it happen that much less because maybe they have metal detectors, or do people just not report on it because it doesn't fit a certain narrative?
Worlds, then you can't have any sympathy for someone who was murdered like this. It's such a ridiculous comparison.
That seems pretty
this
racist
person
to me,
said, I genuinely think celebrating anyone's death is inhumane. I don't agree with him, and I absolutely hated him as a person. I will never wish death upon him. Moist Critical always has the most centrist opinion. Why does he talk about news that he barely researched? This is one of those things where, like, you don't even have to be fully aware of everything the person's ever said. You can literally just look at it for what it is, a brutal public execution, and be like, yeah, over political opinions, that's not acceptable. Like, it's really not that hard to understand. They think this is some sort of a gotcha. Okay, scrolling down a bit, We begin with some positive ones. We go right back to the brain rot. So this person says, common Charlie W. Common W from Moist. Why is it so controversial to say it's wrong to kill people over their political beliefs? They murdered one of the last people that was willing to talk to them.
This guy right here, Charlie talking about Charlie, and now another Charlie, and me commenting about it. It's like Charlieception. That's something I would say. So my hat's off to you, CJ ZUCC10 with little Xboxes on either side. I see you.
And then you have this. I'm sad I didn't know MoistCritical was MAGA.
Oh my God.
Which means he voted for Donald Trump. We don't know if that happened.
Yeah.
I don't think it's likely, like listening to his videos over the years, but I could be wrong. But what they're trying to make a connection over here is really crazy. Like one of the weirdest cell phones. Like
retards like this are why Trump won again. 100%. You can say what you want about the 2020 election, whether it was rigged or not, or whether Trump, really lost or whatever. This is why he won in 2024. Retards like this. People who see things going on that normal people, the normies, would be horrified by. People who aren't always in the shit, like me or some of the people who make these other videos on YouTube. And automatically think someone's MAGA just because they think something that's fucked up is fucked up.
Like they're saying if you condemn political violence, that means you must have voted for Donald Trump. They think that's an own. I don't think they realize how insane they sound, but again, this is TikTok. It's full of brain rot, and it's just
this is TikTok?
The way it is. But this one is, this one's interesting. MoistCritical is really showing his privilege with this one. It must be
What's
nice
that?
being straight, cis, and whites, never having to be singled out by the hateful rhetoric.
Notice it's always a white woman who says this.
Charlie spewed. Listening to someone say to you that you shouldn't exist, that you shouldn't have rights, and then the words he used were more violent and harmful than the way he died. This person is unironically saying
the words he said were more violent than being brutally shot in the neck and instantly killed. Blood everywhere. In front of at least one family member and dozens of fans.
Words are more harmful than a bullet through the neck.
This person has clearly never seen anything more than a clip of anything the man said.
Understand how insane these people are. And of course, they can't even list off the horrible things, and they don't cite anything referring to what Charlie spewed. But then again, the amount of misinformation out there regarding what Charlie has actually said is insane. It'll make you lose faith in humanity. That's for absolute sure. How people will make a caricature out of you in your passing and say, you represent a side I don't like, so I'm going to slander you. I'm going to accept any wild theory about you just so I can justify my bloodlust. That's what they're doing. It's absolutely crazy. Then Charlie Kirk said stuff I don't agree with. Yeah. But even then, he didn't deserve to be assassinated in front of his family.
That was disproven. I'm pretty sure only his wife was there, if anybody. But his kids definitely weren't there. That came out to be untrue.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
But it doesn't make
And honestly, like, I could go on and on, but we'll just read a few more. Okay? I fundamentally disagree. Care to explain?
Yeah, why?
Why you fundamentally disagree with an opinion that states political violence is wrong. Please, enlighten us, common TikTok user.
Yeah.
Whether it's kids in Gaza,
right
victims of...
This one. I just can't understand a political leaning so against gun violence and then celebrating and endorsing it is crazy to me. 100%. Just because someone's pro-gun, them being killed by a gun, and something horrendous like this, that's not irony. It's horrendous. Because they didn't call for shootings like this. If they were okay with stuff like this happening, then sure. But the fact, and people always point to something Charlie said, that the occasional murder is something that we have to live with because of this, what's the Second Amendment. In the same way that car ownership, there's more vehicle-based fatalities every year than there is gun deaths. And that's even with the suicide rate involved, I'm pretty sure. But everyone's still okay with cars, and they're not even put in the Constitution. Neither are horses. Mode of transportation's not put in there. But no one's trying to get vehicles banned. Even after they get run over while they're protesting, sitting down in the middle of highways. Because on that, they need cars. So they have to have cars. These are still people who were pissed off when TikTok was banned, even though everyone knows that TikTok is ass cancer.
School shootings or Kirk, we should never celebrate the loss of human life, as its value scales way beyond anything else in our world.
This person is rational.
It's that simple. It's really that simple. This person down here saying, L, actually, wow. This person's saying, I kind of agree that celebrating is not nice, but also we have to understand that if you spread hate, you will get hate. I feel nothing but your actions have...
Charlie saying
it's
more.
An insane thing.
I'm gonna, just because I didn't know he was just going to go down and comment on every single comment, so I'm going to skip ahead to where Charlie actually talks again.
To expect from someone like MoistCritical.
But I also want to mention something that a lot of people kept saying, I'm sure you've seen it in the comment section or on streams or elsewhere, about how I'm dodging this topic and refusing to speak on it. And people even go as far as to say that I am endorsing political violence by not making a video on it, which I find to just be unhinged. I find that to be so fucking twisted. Especially considering it's not like I've been shy on this subject. Since it happened, I have covered it extensively during streams. I've been mainly gaming because I've been in such a gaming arc in my life right now, but I have still talked about it a lot. And I said from day one, I planned on making a video once the shooter was caught, because I was very confident the shooter would be apprehended pretty quickly. Like, they had a substantial amount of footage showing him on the roof, jumping off the roof, even wandering through the neighborhoods. They even had pretty clear photos that they released to the public that showed a lot of this guy's face. So I was pretty certain that they were going to either catch him pretty quickly, track him down, and get them themselves, or what ended up happening, someone would recognize him and turn him in.
His own dad.
So I wanted to wait for that to happen so that way I can make a video covering the entire situation here, because I find it to be such a big deal. But since I was mainly talking about it on streams instead of in a video, which, by the way, if I did do like a video when it happened, a follow-up video, and then this video, people would accuse me of milking a tragedy. Yeah. So it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
There's
but
no
because
winning
I was talking about it on streams, people accused me of trying to hide it there. Basically saying that doesn't count. It only matters if you make a video on it.
But yeah, I think I've had enough of this. As you can see, you really understand how insane all this is. And like I said, with the new attention on this particular TikTok, a lot of the positive comments have been boosted. But even despite that, the unhinged ones, celebrating the worst of human beings, are still getting the majority of the traction. And it's really insane to see. Again, represents a radicalization of many different social media platforms, TikTok definitely included. Now I'm going to end this video on a happy note. I talked about my official desk mat, a collaboration with my wife, Darling Straub, who also has a VTuber model. And because the sales did so well, we sold so many of these mouse pads over the past couple of weeks. The original date where this was going to be cut off was October 3rd, and now it's been extended through October 17th. And as pointed out here, no restock. So once this date arrives, October 17th, that's it. It's done.
That's really nice.
And you definitely want to capitalize, because these are honestly gorgeous. I mean, look at this. This is the first one. It's the stained glass version. I personally really love this one. One of my favorite pieces of art. I got to be honest with you. And then this one as well, which, of course, this festival theme is always popular in anime. So if you enjoy that, that's another option for you. But I'll put a link to this in the pinned comment and the description.
I would get the one on the left, but I'm not paying $50 for that.
I appreciate all the
buddy,
support.
But
as always, insane from you guys. So we're all getting rewarded.
Okay. Real quick. Thought I saw an update on the... Oh, this looks like it might be funny. Hold on.
And expressing opinions isn't election interference. And expressing opinions isn't election interference. Even when people express views outside your own country, and even when those people are very influential. And trust me, I say this with all humor, if American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk. But what German
Nobody there
democracy,
laughed, but that's pretty damn funny.
what no democracy, American, German, or European, will survive.
Yeah, Rev did a, what's it, Strawby, Divine Strawby or whatever her name is. Yeah, like, that's really sweet that him and his wife could have something like that, and that they both have little VTuber avatars and this nice little molding in the middle. But, okay, so I just realized that that's a really old clip that I just played. All right, Drew Pavlov said, Greta Thunberg deported after 3 days. When she held her first interview, she didn't mention being tortured. She did say Israel forced her to kiss an Israeli flag because it didn't happen. It was a lie. This lie received 30 million views and will never be corrected. And that being Pop-Base reporting that she was in fact tortured, made to sleep in a bed full of bed bugs, and kissed the Israeli flag that they draped her in. I don't think they did any of that. The draping in the Israeli flag and kissing it, it's funny, but I don't think they did that. But then again, American forces, when we first went to Iraq, were, doing little college pranks to Iraqi prisoners and such. So, who knows? I would think that Israeli soldiers, considering that they're groomed for this shit, would be a little bit better than that. But as someone who dated an Israeli girl once, you never know what to expect from them. So, that's all I'm going to say. Don't ask questions. But... oh my God. Sorry, I hate when people throw very obvious clickbait out and people fall for it. So now Libs of TikTok is reporting that this whale is running for Congress in Texas. I don't think she is. I really don't. But that's all I'm going to say about it, because I don't want to give all that, and that's a great picture, any more attention. But... guys, go give old Rev some love, whether it's on Twitch, Rev Ulu, or here on the YouTube, Rev Says Desu. Grab one of these mouse pads if that's the thing you're into. They put a lot of work into these. These look really nice. And it looks premium, so it's going to be as good quality as the nice Corsair one that I've had forever that's lived through all of that which is me. But I very much appreciate all the interaction in the comments, all the viewers that I've had for this. Again, it was kind of impromptu, but I've been trying to see this story for a while. I really thought there was more to it other than just guy on YouTube says thing. Fans get upset that guy on YouTube says thing. I thought it was going to be more, but that seems to be it. Sometimes when people who are very popular in any medium say something, it becomes a whole thing, even though it's not really a thing. So I am going to make sure that I research everything more and more the more I do this. I do have a few things written down. I haven't forgotten about my how to save the MCU, how to save Star Wars. For that, I am completely getting rid of the sequel trilogy for Star Wars. And I am keeping phases 4 and 5 in the MCU. It's going to be a reboot starting from the end of Secret Wars, which looks like that's what we're going to get anyways. So we'll see. But those are in the works. I got to get together with a couple of my collaborators on that. They're just collaborating on the writing and some of the ideas. We're just basically going to have a brainstorming session, and I'm going to do all the writing. So those are in the works. Morning show every morning here on the Associated Guests. I'm going to continue with the Halloween streams. I think I'm either going to finish Poppy's playtime. I might even jump on and go through Outlast again, but I might save that for next year. It depends on how much time I have. And then I'm still going to continue on the Saturday streams, which is the Fuck Sucker Punch bandwagon, where I go through and replay Ghost of Tsushima. It's Peter. And also, we're going to play through Spider-Man, the good one, the first one. Spider-Man. And, yeah, because the new games sucked, let's be honest. So I'm going to go through and play the good ones while I don't buy and don't play the new ones, because Spider-Man 2 was crap. I played a little bit of it. Miles Morales was okay. I like Miles Morales. Can't wait for the next Spider-Verse movie. I hope it's good, because the first two were so great. But anyway, that's it from me. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you have Rumble, go and follow me on Rumble. That way I can start live streaming on it as well. They don't let you live stream unless they think you have like 5 followers. So please go over to Rumble and do that. If you have Twitch and Amazon Prime, please go give me a free Prime sub on Twitch. But like, share, follow, subscribe, whatever you can do. I appreciate all of it, and will never force any of you to do anything, mostly because if the comments are anything to do with it, it's all people I know and a few people trying to get me to buy products. But I appreciate all of you, even if you're just here for that stuff.